No, I didn't read this. I have to go find my notes. I'll be right back. Did you get a good look at that? Orphans? I could put up pictures of little dogs too. Beagles. Yeah, I know everyone's talking about how Dr. Anthony Fauci pleaded the fifth 111 times, but I'd like to talk about things that no one's talking about. So if you're interested in the truth about Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're going to get it here on the Beach Report right now. Replay people and everyone else. There's no one on yet. Maybe YouTube is not going to like this show. Because YouTube was complicit in shutting me up back in 2021, I believe, when 2021, when they started banning me for just talking about gain of function and on labs. Whoa, it's look at that. Crazy, huh? Okay. That's just me. I think we're gonna have another storm. Look at my hair. Crazy here. We've had 2 storms already today. But this is South Florida in the summertime. It's alright. I'm kind of rainproof right now. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Beach Report. Who's going to be the first to say hello? It's Secret Castle for Life. Hello. Yes, don't know why there's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather since my man and I ain't together. It's raining all the time. Thank you, Leon. And I can't stop smiling big anymore since I got my fake tooth. And now the dentist says I can't wear it for a few days because I hurt myself. Let's talk about fake teeth. Let's talk about flippers, which is what it's called, and how painful they can be when you have to try to get used to them. So those of you who've been watching the Beach Report, know about my journey to losing my teeth. I lost this one and I lost these 2. And that was, well, I've lost a tooth every time someone important to me has died. It's weird, but that's what's happened. Anyway, yeah, I lost this one. No, this one when my mother died. Maybe it was this. This one when my mother died. This one when my husband died. And this one when my dog died. So it's been a journey. Anyway, never ever shame anyone for having fake teeth because it's definitely a real thing. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about more than just getting prosthetic teeth. I want to talk about what everyone's talking about today, which is Dr. Anthony Fauci's non-testimony. And just waiting for people to, yes, I've been through many things, Mr. Meow, but that's okay. I am a survivor. I feel like if it doesn't make me strong, I mean, make me dead, it makes me stronger, right? Thank you, Dr. KK. Thank you. Yeah, I love the way you said that word. Hi, philosophy. Welcome to the beach report. Wait, maybe I'll put my camera over here. It might be a little bit better for lighting. Yeah, lighting's better. I think I like it over here. Got like this big what do they call it, a baker's table, and it's made of cast iron, so I can stick my phone anywhere because it's got a magnet on the back. So hi Connie, I see you, you're not invisible. Happy to see you. Just waiting for all my friends to come on because we have a lot to talk about today, and I especially want to talk about Dr. Anthony Fauci. And I know I ditched the middle of his non-testimony because, not just because I couldn't take it anymore, which I couldn't, but I also had a dentist appointment because I'm getting my fake teeth adjusted. They hurt like hell. It's very difficult to get used to having prosthetic teeth in your mouth. With time, all we do is try to save, yet all we do is lose, be it people, respect, our body, everything we lose. Well, that sounds really sad, Dr. KKK. Interesting name there. But I have to say, you have to be positive. Always look on the bright side of the road. Do-do, do-do, do-do. You know, if you are focused on things being bad and, you know, and just I'm always having a tough time, you're gonna have a tough time. I'm sorry. I live my life always looking on the bright side, and really there isn't too much that can happen to me that is going to really spoil my day. Oh, hear the thunder. It's okay. We'll be okay. Hi, egg person. So we're going to talk about the Dr. Fauci testimony, and I'm going to get some of my mods on here because where are they? I know that people are not getting my notifications anymore. Hi, Yara Vera, and I see a lot of names I've never seen before, so you're all new to the Beach Report. And welcome, I'm glad you're here. But how did you find me? There's Barbara. Barbara, did you get notified? Oh, it's raining. Want to see the rain? It's raining. It's pouring. The old man is snoring. Or as Barbara Streisand would sing, it's raining. It's pouring. My love life is boring me to tears. After all these years, no sunshine, no romance, no side of romance. I can't stand a chance. I don't know the words anymore, so I'm gonna stop singing that song. But yes, it's raining here in South Florida on the intercoastal. I'm gonna let the dog in. Go on, Cosmo. Go in the house. He says, no, I just want to be with you. You know how dogs are. Go on, go in the house. It's raining, buddy. Go. I do want to say something. Whoops, sorry. I do want to say something, make a disclaimer about the trolls. I'm learning always how to handle the crazy people who come on my page. Hi Heidi. 420 somewhere is here. It's been a minute. Glad you're here. Wow. Yeah. Yay. You're part of the baby boom too. Isn't it exciting? I love how everybody's having babies these days. And I love how I have my own now. It's so exciting to be a grandmother, isn't it? It's just like the best feeling in the world. So anyway, we have a lot to talk about right now. But before we get started, I have some stuff here I wanted to write about. I wanted to talk about. Now, before we, let's see if any of the, Connie. Fauci's diary talks about Barbara Streisand's butt. No, what? She had shingles on her bottom. That is so funny. I had no idea both nieces had girls. Oh, congratulations. The next generation is here. Like 2026 is going to go down as the year of babies. It's a baby boom. We're going to call them boomers now, right? Why not? Okay. Now, I want those of you who are new to the Beach Report to understand who I am and why I'm standing here talking to you. Hi, gambler. I'm glad you're here and that you call me young lady. That's very nice. But I do want to make things very clear. I am a professional. I'm not just an influencer who decided to go online and be a YouTuber and, I actually was built for this time. And I realized that I have a calling as a journalist. I became a card-carrying journalist in 1987. Lou the Chicken Dude is here. And I graduated from college with a science degree in journalism from the Scripps School of Journalism, if you need credentials. But I'm not part of this legacy media that we hear talk of all the time, and these people who work for big companies and the talking heads on the TV, and thank you, Gambler, and Day Two Stroke. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to entertain the strange troll comments because I have such amazing followers who have been with me for a long time. So if you're here and you're going to take it serious, thank you, Lou the Chicken Dude. So nice of you. But if you are here to listen to a seasoned journalism professional, journalist, author, editor, and I've lived in different countries. I actually got citizenship in Switzerland. Do you know anything about living in Switzerland? It's very difficult to get citizenship in Switzerland. You actually have to prove that you make a good citizen. And I did that. You have to prove you can speak their language, and not just German or even Schweizerdeutsch, but the dialect of the town where you live. It's a big deal. I am not single, by the way. I know you always want to know this. I am a widow. Here is my wedding ring, and I'm still married to my husband, even though he's in heaven. I lived in Basel. Do you live in Zurich, Devin? We had no babies for 20 years in the family, and last 3 to 4 years we have 6. That is so fantastic. So my thought on today's media is that it is a bunch of clowns getting paid a lot of money to lie to you. I don't get paid to lie to anybody. I don't get paid anything unless you buy my books or you donate on the Beach Report. You can send super chats. You can send me rubies, and I always appreciate it because this is how I survive and do the Beach Report. Now, I've been successful doing it for more than 10 years now because I know that you guys want to hear from me. And I know that those of you who have been following me for a super long time, hi Leon, and we are talking more than a decade. That's right. Some love never dies. Thank you. That's so true. Anyway, I've been doing this show for more than a decade, so it's a proven success. I am not a huge influencer. You see, I just hit 16,000 subscribers, which I'm super excited about in the past 2 years on YouTube. I was never an influencer on YouTube until Facebook decided to kick me off because they didn't like the truths that I was telling. How do I know that? Because they were actively silencing me and made something up in order to do that, like a total lie. So anyway, I had a really great, or I still have a really great group of people following me on Facebook. And I love my Facebook family. But I had to come over to YouTube because They couldn't see me on Facebook anymore, and it was getting really frustrating for me because this show, The Beach Report, it is everything to me. It's something I have cultivated over more than the past decade as a unique broadcast coming from a unique journalist, that would be me, and a woman who now I am in my 60s. You know, I started this when I was in my, I just turned 50. Well, no, almost 49. 50, yeah, around there. Anyway, a decade ago. And it was such a like a breakthrough for me because I had never ever wanted to be on camera before. And you can see the reasons why it's not nice for me to be on camera. People say very, let's just say, things that they shouldn't be saying to people they don't know. But that's the way social media is. I get it, and we don't need to give them any airtime. So if you are on the Beach Report right now to be nasty to me, hey, rhyme. But if you're here to make comments about my body or my wrinkles or my being 60 years old or whatever nasty things you want to say to me, we will not be entertaining you on the Beach Report, and you will actually be kicked off. Like this guy will even be reported for his nasty comments. So you don't get any attention now. I know yesterday I talked about the troll toll, and that did not go well for me. I don't want to reward trolls for being trolls. So from now on, we will ignore all the trolls, and I don't wear any makeup, Trevor. Oh, I have a little lipstick on, but that's it, just lipstick. And this is also not a dating site. I'm not here looking for a man. Like I said, I'm a widow. I love my husband. He's in heaven. I will meet him there someday. And when I do, I don't want to have to tell him, hey, well, you were up there, I was down here doing God knows what, and God would know. And I don't do that because I respect myself. I respect my body. I'm 60 years old. I am now a grandmother, and I want to be a good role model for not just my family, my children, my grandchildren, but for all of you as well. So if you're going to come on my show and say these nasty things, you won't be recognized. You will just be tossed into the intercoastal, and there are some sharks waiting to meet you. So this is what we do. You don't get any attention here on the Beach Report. So if you are a troll and you're here to say these nasty things, you can leave. We don't want you here. I'm kicking them off left and right. Where's Darla when you need her? I'm gonna text Darla. Darla, I'm live. I know it's horrible that people aren't getting my notifications anymore. It's a problem. I need you. I have the best mods, but if they don't know I'm on, then they cannot do their job. Because quite frankly, it is very distracting for me and for you to have to constantly be going through really disgusting comments and kicking people off. I don't enjoy it at all, and it takes away from my time and yours. That said, let's talk now about Dr. Fauci's testimony today. I think that's what's on everybody's mind. Everybody has been very angry that he pled the fifth. And I'm still kicking him off. Gretchen! Oh my gosh, Gretchen, thank God you are here. Okay, thank you. You didn't get notified either. All right, hey, Papa Smurf. Hi, Israel. And thank you, Gretchen. I'm so glad that you looked because I need you, girlfriend. And man, report. Yeah, you don't get to talk about these things on the Beach Report. It has nothing to do with my show. If you want to talk about sex, you can go so many other places. Why come here? Just saying. Thank God Darla's here too now. Okay. And Papa Smurf. You know, I don't know what is going on with YouTube, but I think I might have to actually do what I hate doing, which is start scheduling shows so that you guys just know, okay, Jill's going to be on at 9 a.m. and again at 6. Is that what we have to do? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Let's talk about Dr. Fauci now. I don't want to talk about the latest non-testimony. Hi, Karen. I'm glad to see you. If you got the jingle jangle, you got the dingo dango. Two-stroke. And by the way, there are certain followers here who, you know, they're just joking, and I know who they are. I don't like to sit, actually, Matt. And did you know that if you sit, you take years off of your life? In fact, all of my desks are standing desks. I am a big proponent of running and walking, and especially as I'm now in my 60s, I think it's not the best idea for me to lift weights and work out super hard. So what I do is I walk. You got timed out yesterday, Trucker Tom. Oh, well, you know you got to worry about Darla. Just be careful. Be careful. You know what to do. Hello, Ashley. I'm so glad to see you. Lessons is okay. Sure you are. Hi, Papa Bear. Again, this is not a dating site. I am not interested in anybody, okay? My husband's in heaven. I will meet him again. I'm not here to entertain anybody in any way other than with my journalism. So I'm coming live at you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yes, walking is the best because, and especially if you walk on surfaces like sand, like I walk at the beach. And by the way, I cannot take you to the beach lately for several reasons, but the biggest reason being that the seaweed problem on our East Coast is horrible and it smells bad. And if you recall, the other day I went to the beach and the lifeguard actually told me that it could be toxic, or that it is toxic. So it's a shame when you live at the beach and you want to go to the beach, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, we're in Florida. All this week in Massachusetts, it's getting a lot of rain and it's yucky. I know, Karen, every time I go up north, I'm like, well, I don't want to be here because the sky is always white. That means it's just a lot of clouds. Flat shoes, too. They lied to us about arch support. That they did. They lied to us about basically everything. However, you cannot live your life being constantly, paranoid and thinking that everybody lies to you. You also have to trust, and you trust in God, and you trust in the people around you who have proven that they are trustworthy. But when people lie to you once, twice, 3 times, get a grip, and you can't trust that. So thank you for my respect for staying loyal. It's a safety measure, actually. I'm much safer this way. Thank you, Micah. I appreciate that. Just got back from Pompano, and it's been raining on and off. Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, too. Yes, we find a lot about how through experience. You didn't bother me, Karen. I'm glad you're here. What happened to Florida? It doesn't rain anymore. It just rained like 5 seconds ago, and it was raining earlier. So, yeah, it rains here all the time. Anyway, especially in the summertime. Okay, I need to get into this now, so I got to stop getting distracted. I know my mods are on. I'm going to let you guys take over for who you need to get rid of. Anyway, everyone's talking about Dr. Fauci and how he refused to answer any questions and he was pleading the fifth, which we're always told pleading the fifth doesn't mean you're guilty. But I think in this case, I think he's very guilty. Yes, we have beautiful beaches in Florida. So I'm going to tell you some things about Dr. Fauci that weren't covered in today's scathing, I'm going to say testimonial by Republican senators, while Democratic senators did everything they could to dance around the fact that Dr. Fauci was responsible for not just the deaths of millions of people around the world, but also for the loss of years for children. I think the worst thing that happened, besides our older people dying by themselves alone in a hospital, was the way that children were treated. Seeing, for instance, a 2-year-old fighting with their mom over wearing a mask. That broke my heart. How many times did you see that? You have to wear it. I don't want to wear the mask. You have to wear the mask. It was horrible. Oh, Ashley, your twins are going to kick you till they pop. Your twins are going to be so happy to be out of that very tight Ashley mama pouch. They're just kicking because it's getting tight in there, and there's 2 of them. I'm sorry. You know what? My one little boy kicked the heck out of me. So, it's just a short amount of time. And this Christmas, we're going to get 2 little twin babies, and we're going to be so happy. Yeah, you're going to be one of the last of the baby boom 2026, Ashley. So that's pretty cool. The masks were 100% placebo, right? And there was 0 science behind 6 feet. We know this. We know this for sure. Yes, we're all excited for Ashley to have her babies, but Ashley needs to wait, okay? These are Christmas babies, so we're waiting for that. It's going to be a wonderful Christmas with Ashley's babies. All right, anyway, Dr. Fauci. Hi, Talia. Dr. Fauci is responsible for crimes that go way, way, way beyond COVID-19. So if he thinks that he's not culpable for what he did, not just to Americans, but basically affecting everyone in the whole world, then he is culpable for many, many other things. Did you know about the beagles? The little dogs that, as a science experiment by the NIH, it's hard for me to even talk about this because I do feel like I'm going to get a little emotional, and I have to try not to do that because it's so terrible. But he let these little dogs, because beagles are especially temperamental and so sweet. If anyone's ever had a beagle or knows a beagle, they are really some of the most precious, most trusting of animals. So, hey, Manilow, you can support the Beach Report, and thank you so much for asking. You can go to my website, jillbooks.com, where I sell my books that I wrote by myself, and another one that I published for another gentleman, and his book is actually going to be completely revamped, so stay tuned for that. You can also send me super chats, you can send me rubies, and people in the chat can tell you how to do that, because I'm not quite sure how it works since I'm on the other side of the camera. But I really thank you for asking how you can support the Beach Report, because that is how I am supported. I don't advertise for anybody who's not myself. I don't create anything that I didn't create myself. Although I must say I have 2 items on my website, which is, one is a beach bag, which is made by someone else, but I designed it. And the other one is a pillow with the face of my sweet little Shih Tzu muffin on it. So that makes a great Christmas gift. She was absolutely adorable. Secret castle. I'd offer you a drink, but you have to tell me when you turn 21. That's pretty funny. That's cute. Anyway, yes, Manilow, I'm very accomplished, and I am one of the few people who you're going to see on YouTube standing here talking about politics and world events and all the other things, having lived a life 60 years old, being a professional journalist, a professional writer. Yes, give me some likes. Yep, we've got more likes than we have people, so that's a good sign. And please share the Beach Report. There is no other show like it on YouTube or anywhere, although not true, because I have another show on Facebook, Beach Report. So cats are much cooler than dogs. Do you mean like they're cold or they're like Joe Cool? Let me know, because they are cool. Cats are cooler than dogs. Dogs are totally blah, blah, blah. But I love that. Man, bear, pig is bad. That's true. Thank you, guys. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna hide you because you're clearly a disgusting troll. Ooh, wait, I hit you. I unhit you by accident. You know, I'm just gonna let my my mods take care of these people. Anyway, cats are cool. Dogs are goofy. I'm a dog person. I'm a little goofy. I'm not very cool. Yeah, cats own you. Exactly. But you own dogs. It's very strange. Not when your husband is allergic to cats. And cats are not cool for you. Okay. So anyway, now we're talking about beagles. I'm just going to read this to you. My friend Nadine Cornwell wrote this, not me. Hat tip to Nadine. Yeah, thanks, Trucker Tom. You know, Trucker Tom, I think you might think about becoming a member so you can be one of my mods, because you're good at it. Duke of New York, you're another one. It's only $4.99 a month. It would be nice to have you guys on my members group. So think about it. Anyway. Okay, so Dr. Fauci was responsible for beagle dogs being eaten alive by fleas. And they removed the dogs' vocal cords so that the workers who were watching all of this didn't have to hear them bark and whine while they were being eaten alive by fleas. I hate to have to tell you that. However, I want you to know that it happened through the NIH. Sorry, I'm just reporting somebody. I know I should let my mods do it. Gretchen, Jack, take it over, please. It distracts me, sorry. Yeah, dogs bark, cats don't end up story. Anyway, these little dogs, their heads were stuck in like a torture chamber. Why? Why would you do something like this to dogs? Why is this a science experiment? But it gets worse than that. Did you know that Fauci was also responsible for the HIV/AIDS epidemic? He was experimenting on orphans in New York. And the worst thing that you can be is an orphan with nobody who cares about you. That is actually the very worst thing that you can ever be. Because if nobody cares about you, somebody like Dr. Fauci will care about you in a way you don't want. And this is what happened in New York City to these poor orphans, with the state of New York allowed this monster to experiment on babies with the HIV/AIDS vaccine. Right, Gretchen? Yes. Why don't we experiment on people in prison on death row? How about that? And you know what? We probably do. We probably do. Take them, Gretchen. Do your thing. I'm not looking, okay? Get it. Get that one. Knock him off. He's a monster, Bon White. He's an absolute monster. And there's more. You can look it up. They found a mass grave in New York City that had these babies in it. And there were hundreds of them. And I've seen the pictures. And A lot of people have these pictures. If you don't believe me, you can find them for yourself. I would never show you any of this. I understand, Connie. I understand. If you don't want to hear what I have to tell you, you shouldn't listen. It is beyond horrible, and I'm so sorry I even have to say it. So thank you, Connie, for letting me know, and that, you know, it is very disturbing. The details are even worse, Trucker Tom. Notice how he was pardoned all the way back to this time. Don't forget that. There's something else that he did. And I watched like an hour, maybe 2 hour long testimony about how, and please mute this. If you don't want to hear this and you know he's horrible, and Ashley, I want you to mute this right now and not listen to what I'm about to say. That Dr. Fauci at the University of Pennsylvania, or University, no, it was the University of Pittsburgh, I am pretty sure. Actually, I want to look it up because I want to get this right. Speak amongst yourselves. Okay. Yes, it was the University of Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Anthony. We've all lost a lot of people to cancer. We lost a lot of people because of Fauci. Okay. This is an article written by, I hope I can get it out. It's on Newsweek by David Daleiden, who testified at the Pennsylvania House Health Committee's hearing on fetal experimentation in 2021. I will never forget this. Pennsylvania has a pro-life reputation. This is from Newsweek, and they are left-leaning, so don't forget that. The University of Pittsburgh hosts disturbing and barbaric government-sponsored experiments on aborted babies, infant scalping, exporting fetal kidneys, and killing live aborted infants by organ harvesting. Mounting evidence connects Planned Parenthood to it all. Despite the serious questions about these experiments and Pitt's inextricable relationship with Planned Parenthood, the University of Pittsburgh stonewalled lawyers with an unprepared, newly hired witness who could not answer basic questions. Perhaps Pitt could not send a qualified witness to defend these programs because what takes place in them is indefensible. In one study published last year, that would be 2020, Pitt scientists described, and please don't listen to this if you don't want to hear something so horrible that it's going to literally, this is bad. This is very, very bad, okay? Yeah, get rid of those trolls. Thank you. Pitt scientists described scalping 5-month-old aborted babies to stitch onto the backs of lab rats. You heard me right. They wrote about how they cut the scalps from the heads and backs of the babies, scraping off the excess fat under the baby's skin before stitching it onto the rats. They even included photos of the baby's hair growing out of the scalps. Each scalp belonged to a little Pennsylvania baby whose head would grow those same hairs if he or she were not aborted for experiments with lab rats. Pitt's explanation? Lab mice, not lab rats. The university's witness told the committee indignantly, like there's a difference between mice and rats. Okay. In fact, the published study, and I heard this with my own ears. This is real. Yes, for what ridiculous reason? Exactly. The published study used both rats and mice, this is a fact, to grow the baby's scalps. How was this paid for? Now listen closely. A $430,000 grant from Dr. Anthony Fauci's NIAID office at the NIH. Pitt's witness implied that government NIH grants somehow did not concern taxpayers in Pennsylvania. Previously, I wrote about another Pitt scientist who developed a nightmarish protocol for harvesting the freshest, most pristine livers from 5-month-old aborted babies in order to isolate massive numbers of stem cells for experimental transplants. This technique calls for aborting late-term fetuses alive via labor induction, rushing them to a sterile laboratory, washing them, and then cutting them open to harvest the liver. This Pitt scientist received $3 million from the NIH. At the hearing, Pitt asserted, without evidence, that this experiment was done only in Italy and ended in 2013, as if that's okay. But the Pitt scientists responsible published further research in 2019 and described obtaining the same uniquely massive 2 billion stem cell yield from complete fetal livers harvested in Pittsburgh, indicating the same technique he outlined was still being used in America. Starting in 2016, the University of Pittsburgh received $1.4 million in NIH grants to operate a distribution hub for aborted fetal kidneys and other organs in NIH's Genitourinary Development Molecular Anatomy Project. Pitt's grant application advertises the university's unique access to a large number of high-quality aborted fetuses that collections can be significantly ramped up. I'm from Pittsburgh, by the way. I was raised there. Both of my parents went to the University of Pittsburgh. And my father graduated the University of Pittsburgh first as a dentist. Then he went back to medical school and became a doctor from the University of Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania law makes experimentation on a living fetus or failure to provide immediate medical care to a born-alive infant a third-degree felony. Sadly, fetal experimentation, including on babies delivered alive and late-term abortions, has been documented at the University of Pittsburgh for decades. Oh, Bon White. You know you're walking past an absolute hellhole when you walk past the University of Pittsburgh, thanks to the NIH. Astonishingly, at and after the hearing, Pitt doubled down on a demonstrably false talking point. They said, there is no procurement relationship for tissue with Planned Parenthood. Gretchen, Planned Parenthood has been selectively harvesting and selling fetal organs for more than 20 years, and they need taxpayer funding for what? Yes, you're right. And never forget James O'Keefe. He first discovered it. That was like back in 2019 or something like that, right? Pitt's fetal research projects generally obtain fetal tissue through the university's tissue bank from local abortion providers. You live in Pittsburgh? How about that abortion clinic over in the north side? Do you know what I'm talking about? Over there in Sliberty. You know it. You know the one. 2 years ago, sources told me Pittsburgh was one of the major hubs of the FBI's investigation into Planned Parenthood's human trafficking of aborted fetuses. By the way, the FBI has a huge headquarters in the city of Pittsburgh. Y'all know where it is too, don't you? Planned Parenthood, Western Pennsylvania abortion providers who were on staff at the University of Pittsburgh confirmed this information. When I was undercover, they told me, this is me, this is a writer. They told me they supplied the university's tissue bank. Nice way of saying it, right? What is the University of Pittsburgh so afraid of admitting? Well, since 2005, Pitt has been a major location for Planned Parenthood's Ryan Residency and Family Planning Fellowship abortion training programs. Some of the most notorious Planned Parenthood abortion doctors came up through that program. Dr. Jennifer Russo, Vice President of Planned Parenthood from Orange and San Bernardino counties, supplied the aborted fetuses to the criminal company, Da Vinci Biosciences, which admitted to illegally selling the fetal body parts and was shut down by local law enforcement. She did her abortion training fellowship at Pitt. And there are many others. Wait, I gotta turn my fan on. It's getting hot in here. No, I'm sorry. This is very serious and this is very terrible. And I am telling you the truth now. This is an article in Newsweek and you can look it up if you'd like. I'm just reading it to you. Please don't ever shoot the messenger. Then we have Dr. Beatrice Chen, Planned Parenthood's of Pennsylvania medical director, who also runs the abortion programs at Pitt. Dr. Sharon Achilles, the laboratory director at Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania, and a prominent Pitt faculty member. She's on the Planned Parenthood Federation of America's National Medical Committee. I have more to read, but I just got to fix my fan here, so. Great, okay. Yes, flowers to the mods. You can send them flowers, Phil Goodyear. I think they have flowers on the gifts, on the rubies. Shockingly, Dr. Chen is also vice chair of the University of Pittsburgh's Institutional Review Board, which reviews and supervises all fetal research projects. This obvious conflict of interest makes the Pitt and Planned Parenthood lead abortionists a supervising participant in every fetal research project, contravening federal requirements that fetal researchers be separated from clinical abortion practices. Sorry, I am crying very hard inside, but it still makes my nose run. Sorry, I have to keep reading it. I have to tell you the truth and you have to listen. I'm sorry. Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania, meanwhile, is a contracted care site for Pitt, receiving access to medical students, medical resources, medical infrastructure, patient population, and referrals at the university. We know this much just from public sources. First, Planned Parenthood abortionists supply fetuses to the University of Pittsburgh. Whoops. Oh, my article just went away. Reader available. This is so hard to read, and now they're making it even harder to read. Dang. Okay. Sorry, guys. I ache for their little souls. I ache for the families who didn't know what they were doing to their most innocent family members. People don't think like that. A quid pro quo over aborted fetal body parts funded by taxpayers would be illegal. Of course. If what we knew publicly about the University of Pitt is damning, imagine what we do not know. Public officials at every level of government must unearth the full scope of the human trafficking and experimental use of aborted infants and stop enabling these atrocities. Oh, Dan, I'm glad I used to have Hep C. My organs can't be harvested. I would be kidnapped by Fauci and have my kidneys sold if I didn't have that disease. I think we should all say we have Hep C. Do you have an organ donor thing on your license, on your driver's license? They were never told once you lay on that table, you're their property. That's true, Gretchen. That's so true. So, if you are an organ donor and it says so on your driver's license, I care about you. I'm going to tell you that please get that off of there. Because you should know that they can't harvest organs from dead people. You know that, right? You know what that means, right? You know there have been stories about people who have woken up having their organs harvested, and some guy ran out of the room screaming. I'm going to call up that story. Organs harvested on man alive. Here, let's see what happens now. Yeah. Okay, this is NPR, October 2024. Horrifying mistake to take organs from a living person was averted, witnesses say. To take organs from a living person. You can only take organs from a living person. Natasha Miller says she was... NPR wants me to donate to them, fat chance. Natasha Miller says she was I'll just had to, NPR, she was getting ready to do her job preserving donated organs for transplantation when the nurses wheeled the donor into the operating room. She quickly realized something wasn't right. Though the donor had been declared dead, he seemed to her to be very much alive. He was moving around, kind of thrashing, like thrashing around on the bed, Miller told NPR in an interview. And then when we went over there, you could see he had tears in his eyes. He was crying visibly. The donor's condition alarmed everyone in the operating room at Baptist Health Hospital in Richmond, Kentucky, including the two doctors who refused to participate in the organ retrieval, she says. The procuring surgeon, he was like, I'm out of it. I don't want to have anything to do with it, Miller says. It was very chaotic. Everyone was just very upset. Miller says she overheard the case coordinator at the hospital for her employer, Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, call her supervisor for advice. So the coordinator calls the supervisor at the time, and she was saying that he was telling her that she needed to find another doctor to do it, that we were going to do this case. She needs to find someone else, Miller says. And she's like, there is no one else. She's crying, the coordinator, because she's getting yelled at. The organ retrieval was canceled, but some of the workers say they later quit over the October 2021 incident, including another organ preservationist, Nicoletta Martin. I've dedicated my entire life to organ donation and transplant. It's very scary to me now that these things are allowed to happen and there's not more in place to protect the donors, says Martin. Martin was not assigned to the operating room that day, but she says that she thought she might get drafted. So she started to review case notes from earlier in the day. She became alarmed when she read that the donor showed signs of life when doctors tried to examine his heart, she says. The donor had woken up during the procedure that morning from a cardiac catheterization, and he was thrashing about on the table, Martin says. Cardiac catheterization is performed on potential organ donors to evaluate whether the heart is healthy enough to go to a person in need of a new heart. Martin says doctors sedated the patient when he woke up and plans to recover his organs proceeded. The officials of the Kentucky hospital downplayed the incident afterwards, according to Martin. She was dismayed at that, she says. That's everybody's worst nightmare, right? Being alive during surgery and knowing that someone is going to cut you open and take your body parts out. That's horrifying, she said. Donna Rohr of Richmond, Kentucky, told NPR that her 36-year-old brother, Anthony T.J. Hoover, was the patient involved in the case. He was rushed to the hospital because of a drug overdose, she says. Rohr was at the hospital that day. She says she became concerned something wasn't right when TJ appeared to open his eyes and look around as he was being wheeled from intensive care to the operating room. It was like it was his way of letting us know, hey, I'm still here, Rohr told NPR in an interview. But Rohr says she and other family members were told that what they saw was just a common reflex. T.J. Hoover now lives with Rohr, and she serves as his legal guardian. The general outline of the incident was disclosed in September by a letter Nicoletta Martin wrote to the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which held a hearing investigating organ procurement organizations. She later provided additional details about the case to NPR. Several of us that were employees needed to go to therapy. It took its toll on a lot of people, especially me. The Kentucky State Attorney General's office wrote in a statement to NPR that investigators are reviewing. We're reviewing the situation. The Federal Health Resources and Services Administration, which helps oversee organ procurement, said in a statement to NPR that the agency is investigating these allegations, and some people involved in the case told NPR that they have answered questions from the Office of the Inspector General of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, though no federal official from that office has commented on the case. Baptist Health Richmond, the Kentucky hospital where that incident allegedly occurred, told NPR this statement. The safety of our patients is always our highest priority. We work closely with our patients and their families to ensure our patients' wishes for organ donation are followed. The Organ Procurement Organization, KODA, confirmed that Miller was assigned to the operating room for the case. But the organization told NPR in a statement that this case has not accurately been represented. No one at KODA has ever been pressured to collect organs from any living patient, according to the statement from Julie Bergen. Well, that right there is a lie, because you can't procure organs from a dead person. Get that one right, people. Julie Bergen is President and Chief Operating Officer for Network for Hope. What a lovely name. Which was formed when KODA merged with the Life Center Organ Donor Network. KODA does not recover organs from living patients. KODA has never pressured its team members to do so. Are there any doctors in the house? Can you please confirm with me that you cannot procure organs from dead people? And by the way, brain death, it's really not a thing. Grape on white? I'm going to look it up. Here we go. Can organs be procured from a cadaver? Go. Oh. Google says yes. Donation after brain death. That's not the same thing. Pronounced dead. See, they don't really mean that when you're dead here. See, this is some double talk right here. Pronounced dead due to irreversible cessation of all brain function, but organs like heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, and pancreas remain perfused by a ventilator and heartbeat until surgical recovery. So they're still alive. That's what that means. Donation after circulatory death. Pronounced dead after the heart and breathing permanently stop, after which specific organs like kidneys, liver, and lungs must be rapidly recovered. Rapidly, as in while they're still working. Sorry. Speed. Organs require prompt removal and cooling to prevent damage from the lack of blood flow. Exactly. The minute the blood stops flowing through the organs, they're dead. Tissues versus organs. Solid organs, heart, liver, must be transplanted within hours, while certain tissues, such as cornea, skin, and bone, can tolerate longer post-mortem windows. But see, they're still saying that you're brain dead, not that you're dead, completely dead. Hi, Ferris Bueller. So it really doesn't make sense. Here's what PubMed from the government of the National Institutes of Health Library of Medicine has to say about that. With the increasing demand for organ transplantation, why is there an increasing demand? That's kind of weird too. Organ procurement from a deceased donor is an essential step for deceased donor organ transplantations. A proper surgical technique for the procurement of an organ graft from a deceased donor must be carried out to avoid any damage to it. It's happened to your son, Bon White. Oh, then please chime in if you have actual experience with this. They want a nationwide standard and consistency for organ graft sharing among transplantation units. Successful organ transplantation is completely dependent, according to the NIH, on a well-preserved and properly functioning organ. In Korea, 400 to 500 deceased organ donors are noted every year, and approximately 1,800 transplant surgeries are performed. However, like other countries that aren't China, I added that in, Korea has significantly fewer organ donors than patients waiting for transplantation. Although it is important to discover even one brain-dead donor in the most ideal state, and obtaining organs through a proper technique should be considered basically. The surgical technique for organ procurement is based on the anatomical feature and has been evolving as a result of the increased demand for organ transplantation. See, they keep talking about brain death. Hi, Christine. Here we go. Brain death is associated with changes in the hemodynamic, hormonal, pulmonary, metabolic, and inflammatory processing. These lead to impaired graft function and increased immunogenicity, and are associated with impaired patient as well as graft survival rates. Okay, this is the NIH, and they're going to get me with all this medical stuff, but the difference between really dead and brain dead is the difference between an organ that can be donated or not donated. Here, I'm going to read to you a very crazy story. About a child, a toddler. And this just happened very recently on earlier this month, actually, right before the 4th of July, where a little boy, an 18-month-old little baby, that's a baby, was declared dead, having drowned in their pool, in the parents' pool. Hours later, the baby was alive in the morgue. They let that baby go to the morgue. I will read you this story. This is NBC News, by the way. Hat tip to NBC. At 6:20 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday, an Arizona toddler was pronounced dead in an emergency room. At 11:52 p.m., the boy was found breathing in a hospital morgue. What happened during that nearly 6-hour period and the circumstances that led to the near drowning of 18-month-old Vincent Lorenzo Fiordolino in a pool are now under investigation by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. The child ultimately survived and has been released from the hospital, the Gilbert Police Department said in a statement. But the department has also recommended to the county attorney that his parents be charged with child abuse. Really? Okay, this is new. I've not heard this part yet. This is insane. The parents, according to a police report obtained by an NBC affiliate, may not have realized that their son had wandered off to the pool while the game was on due to the potential of both parents' state of mind being impaired by marijuana and or other mind-altering substances. Both admitted to smoking marijuana the morning of the drowning. Are you kidding me? A spokesperson for the county attorney declined to comment on the case. Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, Mercy Gilbert Medical Center confirmed that it had conducted its own internal investigation into what it called a heartbreaking situation. But the hospital has not revealed the results of its investigation and declined to answer questions from NBC News concerning whether the doctor who mistakenly pronounced the boy dead remains on staff. What? Really? That doctor is identified as A2C. Not an American, by the way, in the police report. And when he was questioned by a police officer about his decision to pronounce the boy dead while the child was still gasping for air, the doctor allegedly pulled rank. Please do your thing and let me do my thing. Todd Tuesday, maybe I should say it the way he did. Please do your thing and let me do my thing. Tuesday is quoted as saying in the report, I went to medical school for a reason. A doctor named Arian Tuzi is identified in available reports as being affiliated with that hospital. He referred NBC News to lawyer Scott Holden. In a statement to NBC News on Friday, the lawyer cited the police report and a potential case against the child's parents. Because of this, as well as patient confidentiality, we are unable to make a full statement at this time other than to assure you that there is much more to this case, both factually and medically, than has been reported thus far, he said. Now, the little boy, Vincent, is not identified in the police report by name, but his family has set up a crowdfunding page to help with medical costs. I hate those things, by the way. I can't comment on this right now, but thanks for calling, a man who answered the phone at the house where Vincent lives said before hanging up. I wouldn't talk to NBC News either. According to the crowdfunding page, Vincent is breathing with the assistance of a ventilator. He has avoided serious brain damage, but will require ongoing medical monitoring and extensive therapy. The turn of events began around 5:38 p.m. on February 8th with a 911 call for help after the boy was found floating face down in the family pool, and a relative tried to revive him by performing CPR, according to the report. The boy was then rushed to the emergency room at Mercy Gilbert Medical Center, where an ER team that included Tusi took over the effort to save him. At 6:13, according to the report, Tusi was sent checking the time on a cell phone with a cheetah print orange and black case before he went out to deliver bad news to the boy's parents. Minutes later, Tusi had words with a Gilbert police officer who appeared to question his diagnosis and then returned to the ER. As long as there are no objections, I'd like to call time... No, sorry. As long as there are no objections, I'd like to call time of death, Tusi said, according to the report. Then at approximately 18:20 hours, Dr. Tusi called the time of death and requested a moment of silence. But the child's parents and police officers who had been in the ER said in the report that the child still appeared to be gasping for breath after he was declared dead. Hi, Gracie. Hi, Carrick. Then at 7:18 p.m., a detective on the scene reported hearing another audible gasp as the ER workers were preparing to move the boy from the trauma room to the cold room that serves as the hospital's morgue, where the temperature is set at 36 to 39 degrees. Hi, Jarn. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being a long time supporter. Glad you're here. The same detective said that when he returned to photograph the body an hour later, he again observed what appeared to be a gasp or air release. The nurse again stated it was agonal breathing and explained that it was due to compressions, oxygen, and possible pressure applied by family members while saying goodbye, the report states. This is terrible. At 7:23 p.m., the cold door room was closed. More than 4 hours later, when the medical examiner's team arrived at 11:52 p.m. to retrieve the boy, he was found breathing. The family was notified immediately, and the boy was airlifted to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Absolutely horrifying that things like this can happen. I'm just going to look up Dr. Anthony Fauci quickly. He works in Chandler, Arizona. He is accepting new patients according to his practice in Chandler, Arizona. So if you need emergency medicine in Chandler, Arizona, and Dr. Fauci is your doctor, run screaming in the opposite direction. I wonder how many people they made that mistake on and just let them pass away. Exactly. I know I really went into the weeds here, and I know everybody else is talking about how Dr. Anthony Fauci pled the fifth 111 times because he didn't do nothing, right? Okay, well, everything that I've just told you before this, and I just got into that thing with the little boy being declared dead. Again, you can't trust these people. Sorry. But let's go back to what I did read to you. And if you are just coming on right now, please go back and look at what I've told you and read to you about the NIH experimenting on little babies and aborted infants who were killed to be lab rats, if you will, or attached to them by the NIH. Absolutely horrific experiments that remind me of the Holocaust. Dr. Mengele. So, if you're not angry enough that Dr. Fauci let your grandparents die all alone in a nursing home, if you're not angry enough that Dr. Fauci set your kids back by years, forcing them to wear face diapers and breathe in their own germs, if you're not angry enough about that, if you're not angry enough about you or friends and family members you know having lost your business and your livelihoods because only approved stores like liquor stores, bars, and Walmart and Walgreens were allowed to be opened during the pandemic, and your business suffered and you had to quit or you had to give it up. I was writing for a very long-running magazine put out by a nursing home. If anyone works in the nursing home industry, it was called, oh my gosh, Creative Forecasting. Creative Forecasting magazine had been around for, I think, like 30, maybe 40 years. And I used to write about all of the Jewish holidays for Creative Forecasting. Creative Forecasting was ended by the pandemic. That was one of my livelihoods taken away. The lockdown, yeah, most drastic lockdowns. Look what they did to people in Australia. I mean, they had nothing to do with American elections. And raise your hand if you think that the 2020 election was the target of the pandemic in order to usher in mail-in votes and steal the election for a candidate who was hiding in his basement. What do you think? Am I just crazy? Am I just looking at patterns? Like the AI likes to tell me when I try to look stuff up through it. You're just noticing patterns. There's no official evidence. I don't know. I lived it. I was there. You were there. All right. See you later, Darla. Yeah. Talking about compromised. Yeah. AI is evil, Jay. I think that AI is actually being used by the big corporations to control us all. So the only times I use AI is to see what they don't know and to try to get them to tell something true. Sometimes I have big fights with AI. My wife worked at the hospital. The doctors told her, don't take the jab. And then there were people who worked at the hospital who promoted it to everyone and took it themselves. And we love these people and just pray that nothing happens. It's a lot. And Dr. Fauci brought it on. Along with Bill Gates, and where is he? Why doesn't he testify? Why don't we talk about that that vaccine he put out? Anyway, I'm interested in what you guys have to say about it. If Dr. Fauci isn't complicit in the 2020 pandemic, which was clearly to me brought about by looking for the perfect virus to lock down our country and usher in an illegitimate president during a time when President Trump was getting dangerously close to the truth about the NIH and other governmental agencies that were, quite frankly, intent on turning our country into a what is it they call it all? 15-minute cities and 2030 New World Order. Yeah, all that stuff. President Trump's election in 2016, they thought we were going to get the wildebeest, but instead we got the truth. Jay says, AI's truth is the same as the government and mainstream media's official narrative. Two complete liars, thereby rendering it useless in terms of providing facts. Exactly. Gretchen, they might be sneaking it into our food. I wouldn't put any of them past them. The word COVID is an acronym. It stands for Certificate of Vaccination ID. The plea the fifth doctor who needs a pardon to trust the science backed by the most popular president in history who can't find donors for his presidential library. Good one, James. That said it all right there. Right there. Give me more comments like that, because I'm quite frankly a little bit sick of talking about it. I've been talking about this since I knew the pandemic was coming down the pike. I saw it very clearly. I knew that they were not going to let President Trump get the best of them a second time. They tried to make us elect the wildebeest, and they pulled the same dirty tricks on us for the 2020 election. Like things like, ooh, President Biden, he's gaining in the polls. Remember them telling us that the wildebeest was always ahead in the polls and sure to win, she's sure to win. And even she believed it until people like me showed her. People like you showed her. Hi, Bill Clancy. It's a lot. So, thank God for President Trump. You want to hate him, you're doing it despite your country. Yes, it was a test, and Gretchen, not all of us passed. But the majority of us passed, and that's why President Trump is president right now. If you think about it, it legitimizes everything I'm saying and the fact that President Trump was he had upended their diabolical plans to usher in a new world order. I don't like Fauci. I don't like Tom Wolfe. I don't like Richard Levine. They all lied to us. They all tried to force us to do something that we didn't want to do, and I never got the job. Same, Bill. Absolutely the same. Well, thank you, Bon White. My mama didn't raise no fools. Sometimes I think I'm a little too smart because I see things that other people don't. And then they say horrible things about me because it's like that shoot the messenger thing. That's why I always say, don't shoot the messenger. I am just the messenger. I'm a real journalist, an actual journalist. I went to journalism school. I got out of journalism school, started writing for a newspaper. Been doing journalism my whole life, writing for magazines. I wrote for television. Yeah, I took a few years out and became a children's television writer. And now I'm an author. Me too, Bill. But you can trust me. I have no skin in the game as far as nobody's paying me to say anything that I'm saying. I'm telling you what I saw with my own eyes. And after 60 years on this earth, I have the wisdom to be discerning. You know, Project Warp Speed, Jay, actually, from what I understand, President Trump ushered that in super quickly so that they didn't have time to get us with the really bad drugs. I don't know. President Trump was the victim of all of this, too. What's my favorite? If I'm a journalist? Dude. You want to know my favorite story I ever covered? Yeah, let me see if I can find it and read it to you. Would you like that? Let's see if I can find it. So it appeared in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. What was it called? Oh, right. Bear with me here while I find it. Hold on. Thank you, Turtle, for asking. Gotta look a little further because this was like 2006 when I wrote this article. And if you do want to look up articles that I have written in the past, my newspaper name was Jill Cooney Cohen, which was my ex-husband's name. And now I just go under Jill Cohen. I'm looking. I didn't expect to do this. I could just go get my book. There's articles in there too. Wait a minute. Why can't I find it? Another problem too, might be because the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has gone out of business recently. Well, I'll just tell you about it. So, Kim Peek is the father, or I'm sorry, is the son, sorry, not the son. Kim Peek was the real Rain Man who was who inspired the 1988 film Rain Man, starring Tom Cruise. And Kim and his father visited Pittsburgh. I think it was in 2006. And I got to spend an entire day with them. And the reason I love this story is because I learned so much about Kim Peek. And I believe he might still be alive. I'm not sure. I know his father has passed away. Maybe people should read your bio or watch a few of your videos before they come. Are they challenging me, Gretchen? You think they're challenging me to prove that I've written newspaper articles? Yeah, it's not a challenge. Anyway, learning about Kim Peek was really fascinating to like just be with him all day long and to see how his mind works, because he is missing the corpus callosum of his brain, which separates the two hemispheres of your brain. So that Kim's brain basically has no filters. He can't do normal things like flick a light switch or brush his own teeth, but he could literally read off the entire Encyclopedia Britannica from the year 1986 to you and be completely right. This is very cool dude. So anyway, and like he was like, you know how autistic people do this, and that's called stimming, where they flap their hands. Kim did a lot of that. So, you know, you'd be around him and it would seem like he was mentally disabled, and he is in a lot of ways. But his brain, oh my gosh, like not just smart, but kind of like a computer. It was really interesting to hang out with him. But hang on, let me, you guys, talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm gonna grab my book and I'll read to you an excerpt from my book, and then you can hear some articles that I've written. How about that? Alrighty then. So, like it was yesterday, a journalist files since 9/11. I'll turn the camera around so you can see it. This is my book that I wrote. So if you don't believe I'm really a journalist, then why the heck would I write a book? And are you going in, Cosmo? No? Okay, sorry, dog. And here, look, that's me. That's me 10 years ago. I won an award. So, yeah, that's it. I will read you a bit. How about if you don't remember 9/11, I'm going to read you now. First, I'll read you the introduction to my book. Yes, this is the one they put in the time capsule, because this book was born in Pittsburgh. And actually my beat was the Butler area, part of the Butler area, north of Allegheny County. So, oh, well, thank you, Turtle. All right, here's my introduction. By the way, this is before any computer, AI, anything. I write all my own things, and you will soon be able to hear my writer's voice. In the aftermath of 9/11, the American people demonstrated a renewed interest in patriotism. However, now hold it up, you can see I'm reading it. However, as time goes by, people seem to have forgotten what life was like in the days before, during, and just after one of the most horrific terrorist acts ever committed on U.S. soil, right in front of our eyes. I too had pretty much forgotten about the way the world had changed in an instant. And then more life-altering changes unfolded as the weeks turned into months and the months turned into years. Now we're seeing people who were babies in 2001 entering high school. Oh boy, now they're entering parenthood. And we've come to accept the fact that we can watch journalists get their heads chopped off on YouTube. And the kidnapping of schoolgirls by monsters in the Middle East could be resolved by merely tweeting, "Bring back our girls," even though it wasn't. Last summer, of course, this book was published in 2015, by the way. Last summer, it was all the rage to have yourself filmed dumping ice water on your own head in a countrywide dare, but it still failed to wake anyone up to the fact that there are bigger problems facing our country. Indeed. The 9/11 Memorial Museum was dedicated on May 15th, 2014, and opened on May 21st. I visited the site. Now, this is written about me. I visited the site on July 14th on a scheduled press trip. I planned to write about the experience as a travel piece for North Hills Monthly magazine, one of my regular clients. But as I walked around the museum and then took my own personal tour of my favorite big city, I began to realize that what happened there had affected me on a much deeper level. When I returned to Pittsburgh after my NYC press trip, I did a little research before writing the 9/11 museum article, and I came upon something I had written right when it happened. The file was called Bad Day, and it had been sitting practically forgotten in a Windows 97 file from my first laptop. When I opened it and started reading about my own reactions to the attacks as they took place, I was transported back to a time I almost preferred to forget. However, those diary entries awoke in me the realization that 9/11 has been a theme throughout my career as a journalist. I began writing as a stringer for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette on October of 2001. And many of my assignments reflected on the way 9/11 was changing our lives. Boys were inspired to become soldiers, and school children did what they could to make those soldiers feel valued. As the war in Iraq raged on, some of the soldiers died, and some of them came back altered. And I was honored to write newspaper articles that would let my neighbors know what they were going through and how we could help. My freelance career blossomed, and I began writing for other publications around town. Every now and then, the subject of 9/11 came up as people struggled to honor the victims and pursue the new post-9/11 reality. All of this came flooding back to me as I wrote the article about the 9/11 Museum in September of 2014. A month later, on November 3rd, 2014, One World Trade Center, aka Freedom Tower, opened for business. This was the same day my article went live, and the coincidence convinced me that I should do more than just write another article. I should put a book together. I should remind people about what we've been through since those attacks shattered our peace and sparked the war on terrorism. I'm glad you're here, Jennifer. I love you too. Hi, Nicole. I searched my computer and easily found dozens of applicable articles that strengthened my resolve. A month later, I told my cousin Gary about my idea to write a book that chronicles the way 9/11 has affected our lives since it happened. And he told me the most amazing story. In fact, I was shocked to hear about his unique experience on 9/11 and the way it has affected us all. Now, as the 15th anniversary of 9/11 approaches, now it's 25, along with my milestone birthday of 50, I suddenly grasped the importance of teaching those who don't or can't remember, or even remember to remember. People born right before, during, and after 9/11 2001 were robbed of the freedoms we used to take for granted. It was hard fought for by our fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers. But by the time we reached the 21st century, we believed we had evolved above brutal war and senseless killing. On 9/11, we found out that we were indeed still vulnerable, and it changed us. Air travel has changed the most. Now we are all under suspicion of a seemingly tyrannical TSA. Gone are the days when you could meet people at the gate and bring a bottle of water through security. Those liberties have been eroded bit by bit. And we largely accept it in the name of safety, but the terrorists strike regardless. Shoe bomber, underwear bomber, Boston bombers. It's a greater power that limits their destruction. And our government pretends that they were powerless despite warnings that these people were planning to strike. Like It Was Yesterday is a compilation of re-edited, published material about the effects of 9/11 since the attack took place. It's a reminder for those of us who were adults in 2001, and for everyone else, it's a real-life account of how America's freedom has been gradually diminished since then. This is indeed a history book. It chronicles how September the 11th affected my life and the lives of my fellow countrymen. It's a book about life going on after September 12th. So that's what my book's about. If you want me to start reading a few of the diary chapters, it's actually a two-part book. The first half of it is diary, that bad day diary that I started writing on September 11th when I couldn't find my brother. And he was working in the building next to the World Trade Center. So he was very much in danger. And he worked at Chase Manhattan Bank. And I couldn't get hold of him. And it was terrifying. Well, I'm one of the lucky ones. Because eventually my brother was found. And he lives today. Thank the Lord. We are very lucky. But not everybody is that lucky. Wives lost husbands, husbands lost wives, and children lost parents, and parents lost children. I dedicated this book to the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives on September 11th. Thank you, Papa Bear. In addition, I dedicate this book to the 343 FDNY, 23 NYPD, and 37 PAPD first responders who also died trying to save others. Thanks to them, more than 10,000 occupants of both towers were saved before the towers fell, taking the lives of so many victims in the collapse. I further dedicate this book to those 92 firefighters who were lost after 9/11 as of 2015. There are now more, due to World Trade Center related cancer. Americans must never forget the sacrifices those heroes made that day, as well as those who continue sacrificing for their own safety to protect our community. If you join my members group, Darcy, you can be a mod. It's easy. $4.99 a month, I'll mod you right up. All right, let me know if you want to hear any more, if you had enough. So, and I'd love to have you in my members group, Darcy. Thank you. So, I'm not going to read unless you say, read more, Jill, read more. Read the diary. Hello, happy Wednesday, Carol. How are you? Okay, we're not here to talk about how pretty I am. I'm a writer. All right, Ryan, I'm going to do it just for you. Thank you for asking. So this is Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. 8:13 p.m. And these are my direct words on that day. Love you, Carol. I'm going to read more. I know. Thank you, Darcy. That's why I'm saying if you join my members group, then you can be a mod. You have to be a mod. I mean, you have to be a member if you want to be a mod. Yes, and the members-only chats are so fabulous. Okay. Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, at 8:13 p.m. Everything has changed, and we will never be the same again. Today, the World Trade Center was attacked and destroyed by 2 jet airplanes full of regular people. The plane had been hijacked. 20 minutes later, the Pentagon was hit by another plane. And even as I write this, one of its sides is still burning and has completely caved in. After the shock of seeing the Twin Towers smash into the streets of Lower Manhattan, I realized that my brother's office wasn't far from the scene. I tried calling his house, but I couldn't get through. The phone lines were clogged with calls from people like me, searching for our loved ones in the smoldering city. I ran to my neighbor's house and she offered me lunch, but I told her there was no way I could eat. I just wanted to find my brother. So she gave me her phone and told me to go to it. After a few tries, I finally got through to his answering machine where I left a message. Then I finally was able to get through to his office's automated answering machine. "Welcome to Chase, where the right relationship is everything," announced the automated bank teller in a cheerful voice. I took comfort in the fact that the phones were working there and I punched in his extension, but only managed to recall his voicemail. "Andy, please call me and let me know you're okay." At noon, he left a message that was full of sorrow. He could barely speak, and I could hear him crying as he told me that his building was being evacuated and I should call him later at home. I fell apart when I heard him weeping and sounding like a scared little boy. But later, he told me that he had been the one with the calm exterior and that everybody came to him for information. He was cradling one older gentleman in his arms just to keep the guy from freaking out. Hi, Ricky. Thank you, Papa Bear. And thank you for saying that. He told me that as soon as the first plane hit, everyone wanted to go out and see. But Andy blocked the door and told them that they would be leaving over his dead body. One man had actually escaped into another part of the building, and when he came back, Andy said he nearly throttled him. They thought that a building's incinerator had exploded, and when they looked out the window, they saw pieces of paper flying through the air. Out on the street, one of their coworkers was just entering the building when he noticed a $20 bill floating down from the sky. He nudged the woman next to him. "Look, it's a 20." And he grabbed it out of the air. But when he looked at it, he noticed that it was covered in blood. And he dropped it on the ground and ran into the building. Is this making any sense? I write what my brother told me when he finally got to his house on Long Island, covered in asbestos and ashes. He had to walk about 5 miles to find an operating train. He told me that the ground was littered with women's shoes. I can't even comprehend what has happened. The television is going apeshit with grisly pictures that surely can't be real. It's like something out of Hollywood. I'm walking around like a zombie, my eyes red and swollen, and I'm constantly on the verge of tears. Today I cried on Laura Mitnick, and I don't even really know her. What has happened to our country? Who has committed this unspeakable crime? I felt like shaking the people in the stores with their cheerful good mornings. This was not a good morning. In fact, it was probably the worst morning I'd ever seen in all of my 36 years. Hi, Pierre. So, that was the day of 9/11. If you want to hear September 12th, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. You want to go in, Cosmo? Go in. It's very hot out here for little dogs. Hello, Iran. Change weather. What do you mean, Pierre? This is our normal Florida in the summer weather. It rains in the afternoon. It's sunny in the morning. Sometimes we get a good sunset. Sometimes we get a good storm. We never know. This is called our rainy season for a reason. And I see a couple storms forming out there. All right, Carol, this one's for you. Wednesday, September 12th, 2001. Went to bed early last night with the television droning endlessly about the day's terrible tragedy. The last thing I remember of Tuesday, September 11th, was Republicans and Democrats singing the national anthem together. And then I fell into a deep, dreamless sleep, my eyes finally able to rest after all the sobbing I'd been doing since 8:50 in the morning. Today I woke with a start, practically shouting, "What the hell?" I guess I was hoping that yesterday was a nightmare. When I turned on the television, the scene was grisly. Thousands of people digging about in the rubble that used to be the World Trade Center, dodging the other buildings that were suddenly collapsing all around them as they searched desperately for signs of life. In Washington, the fire still burns, and it's not likely that anyone has survived. But we hold out hope. This was a day of shock, fear, anger, sadness, despair, uncertainty, rage, confusion, understanding, and pride. I dissolved into tears every time I was confronted with another account of courage in the face of terror. I had to drive my daughter to school because she missed the bus. As we pulled out of the driveway, the classic rock station I usually listen to began playing the national anthem, making it hard to see the road through the tears I was trying to hide from my child. She's frightened enough as it is. I'm just glad she's spending her days in school and not around me, because I'm not doing very well at keeping it together. I am so grateful to her teachers for staying quiet about the attack and not letting the children know a thing. They left it up to us to tell them, which I think was the right thing to do. Some people ran to the school right after the fourth plane went down in Somerset County and picked up their children despite disapproval from the school's psychologist. Okay, I admit I ran there too, after the rabbi closed down the temple and sent all the preschool children home. But when the elementary school secretary assured me that the children weren't going to be told anything about it, I decided that what my daughter didn't know couldn't hurt her. Now, I wonder if that was crazy, knowing that they'd evacuated downtown Pittsburgh, closed all the universities, and even shut down the malls. When my best friend called from Bethesda, Maryland, she told me that they made all the parents come and pick their kids up from school. They were even on the brink of planning a retreat 2 hours away to their property on the Mason-Dixon line in Maryland, until I told her that a fourth plane had gone down in Somerset, which is a mere 20 minutes away from her plot of land in Deep Creek. It felt like there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The phone had continued to ring with calls from my family and friends in Basel, Switzerland, as well as a couple of calls from some other ex-Baslers who now live in Australia. We greatly appreciate the concern and support, but we were surprised by it until I found the BBC on television and heard them telling the world that Pittsburgh was also attacked. Somerset is over an hour away from Pittsburgh. It's home to our local ski resorts, Hidden Valley and Seven Springs. We're untouched by it in Pittsburgh, but they're making it look like we've been hit just like Washington and New York City. It's simply not true. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm reading today. Yeah. I hope that you enjoyed my book like it was yesterday. A Journalist Files Since 9/11. I am a journalist. And now, instead of writing for newspapers and magazines, I write books. And if you are interested in purchasing a book yourself and supporting my work, please go to my website, jillbooks.com. I do everything by myself. I published my own books. I publish other people's books. I am a one-woman show. Hi, Harold. Hey, Scobie. Thank you. Gretchen just put my website on, jillbooks.com. So is there anything you would like to ask or share regarding 9/11, or even the most recent It's not a debate, and it wasn't testimony, and it wasn't really a hearing. Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci's crimes go way back before COVID was ever thought of by him and Bill Gates or whoever. Dr. Fauci has been hurting people and dogs for the entirety of his career at the NIH. And I also feel very badly for the children and all the people alive today who never got to know America before 9/11. Be careful of any wheat products that are not organic. One of the chemicals Monsanto uses causes sex changes in frogs. Who knows what it's doing to us? Well, and by the way, that's the reason why I moved to Switzerland in 1990. I did not want to have children in America because Monsanto was adulterating our crops way back when, all the way into the 80s. Vintage has a very, very good point. We better address our Muslim problem. And it sure is a problem. And it's taken over, of all cities, New York City. Yes, don't be afraid of anything, Nicole, because God is in control. But, you know, some things we have to do as well. So, what's not visible, Aqua? Let me know. My website, because I'm sure that you can get my website. Anyway. I am here to be your real journalist, absolute, actual reporter who really cares about the truth. Yes, that's right. They have one goal, total takeover. And Aqua needs to be hidden because you are not mature enough to partake in the chat. Thank you, Vintage. Hi, Jerry Holly. Yes, people say that Jesus is on his way back soon. However, I'm just going to say this. I have to wonder, during some of the most horrible genocides, I think of the Holocaust, but I also think of Rwanda, and I think of the Chinese Uyghurs that are currently, there's another one, being held in detention centers so that their organs can be procured by wealthy people. Xi Jinping is a monster. All of these big governmental entities using innocent people for organ transplants, using innocent puppies and babies for macabre science experiments. We need to take control and say no more to this. Exactly, Papa Bear. Trump did implement Project Warp Speed. It did not make the vaccines mandatory. Yeah, this is my real hair. Yeah, it turned gray. And here it is. Woohoo, gray hair. I like it. Don't forget about Americans paying high taxes and the American struggle. How about Americans being ripped off by foreign entities who apparently took liberties during COVID to take everything they could get from us? Well, Vintage, I hope you're wrong. When Christ returns, he will take those of us up with him who belong with him. I plan to be one myself. Yeah. The vaccine was ready before Trump took office. Coincidence? Exactly, Gretchen. Event 201 was staged by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation just before the pandemic and addressed all pandemic needs. Yeah. Revelations clearly states that the earth will become new again and it will not be empty. Good. And thank you so much to my mods for putting up with the nasty things the trolls say. Trump understands. Keep your enemies close, China. Exactly. It's very difficult for regular people to understand what goes through the minds of the power brokers. I don't understand it. And I never want to be like them. So, I'll never be a power broker. I'm just little old me, little truth teller journalist, 60 years old now, still running my mouth in ways that could get me banned from this platform, has gotten me banned from this platform, has gotten me banned on Facebook, and I consider it an honor to have been banned, because only those of us who've been telling the truth are the ones who get banned. So, yeah. Anyway, you got me. I'll never let you down. In fact, I show up on the Beach Report pretty near every single day. And I have for more than 10 years now. So you can count on me. And I am a real journalist. And if you want to challenge me, that's fine. Go right ahead. I have all the proof. And you're welcome to look it up. In fact, if you want to look up an article, somebody told me it is easy to find. It's about pickleball. You can look up pickleball from Jill Cohen, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Just like the vaccine was prepared before Trump came into office, this conflict with Iran was also pre-planned before his pregnancy. 9/11 was also a trial run, pre-planned, like what would happen if planes flew into the World Trade Center and the Capitol and the Pentagon. Yeah, I believe Flight 93 was supposed to run into the Capitol. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Just wants to say I truly want to thank you for sharing your adventures with us. We appreciate it. Yeah. Abandonment. What is that? Thank you, Vintage. Yeah. This is why. This is why I have the long hair. Because of people who are disgusting. These are all tests to see how much control they have over us. Before I go, I want to ask you guys if you would do something that I've started to do, and that maybe, just maybe, we can end this AI takeover if we don't participate in it. I know that it's almost impossible to call any company, be it a bank or to pay your taxes or literally, and I'm telling anything, anyone you call right now, it's a big company, you're gonna get an automated teller, which was the first AI that they used on us to be used to. I don't know about you, but if I have business to do with my bank, like for instance, I'm regularly unable to use my password because for some reason it gets all messed up. And then I have to call the bank and have them get me back on, right? Big pain in the butt. But I feel like it's PTSD every time I call the bank and I have to listen to that fake voice telling me, press 1, press 2, press 1 for English. Again, I live in America. I don't want to have to press 1 for English. I hope President Trump does something about that. Sorry, all you Spanish speakers, but English is our national language. And when I lived in Switzerland, I learned to speak the language. And they made me a citizen because I could speak the language. Just saying. So I want to ask you guys, when you are confronted with the AI voice and the fake operators, that you say to them before you say anything else, or before you talk to this AI voice, that you say, hey, I want to talk to a real person. And you fight them. And you just be like, I'm not doing business with you unless you put a real person on. Aw, thank you. My wife loves your style. I think you'll inspire her More than that, I believe every woman can be inspired by your kind heart. See you soon. Thank you. And the reason that I look like this is because of Donna Wade Nightingale, who is my stylist, who has taught me everything about dressing. The way I dress is all because of Donna. And so if you think you learn from me, you're really learning from Donna. Ducky's Papa Bear says, this is not a test to see how much control they have over us. They have over 60 years of computer data. They know exactly what to do to make us jump or lay down. That's a great point, Papa Bear. Yes, exactly, Donna. So what I'm asking you guys to do, and tell all your friends, tell 2 people, they'll tell 2 people, stop going along with what they want you to do. They have been training us to accept the AI for decades now. And now that it's here, I feel like the only thing we can do is refuse to use it. Even today, you get a traffic ticket or actually a real big court case and they want to do a Zoom court. Tell them, no flipping way. I know it sucks to go to court, it does, but the Zoom court, I don't like it at all. I don't think it's fair. It's like being in a Woody Allen movie. Donna knows. The only way we will ever truly be free is through Jesus Christ. And I believe that we are already free through Jesus Christ. So don't be afraid. And don't be scared. Be scary. And I don't mean be scary like be a scary person. I mean scare them into thinking that they can do what they want to us. Let them know that you actually answer to a higher power and you refuse, absolutely refuse to use the AI. My dentist uses AI to look at x-rays. Get a new dentist, Dano. Seriously, tell him no. If your dentist isn't skilled enough to read his own x-rays, that's a problem. Just like with me, I wrote this book. There's typos in it. There's issues, whatever. I wrote it. It's not an AI book. I don't do anything AI. I do it myself. Sometimes I look to see what AI has to say about what I'm doing. And I'll tell you that AI has helped me in other ways as far as legally. Now, AI is very good if you have legal questions. I'm not saying it's always right. It usually has some lie or two to tell you, but it does help me legally and also to, get what I need from, like I was just, for instance, I was dealing with a client who is an attorney and he didn't want to pay my prices, even though they're not exorbitant, but, he was having issues. And he tried to use his legalese on me and tried to berate and demean me as an attorney. And I just consulted the AI. I like Copilot, it's the only one I really ever use, and told me how to handle this man. And I did. And I actually got what I wanted from him. And he couldn't say anything. Because AI kind of taught me how to be less emotional about being potentially ripped off. So that did help. Thank you. Okay, is it better now? Am I syncing? This is something I believe that YouTube does to people like me to make it look like we're AI when you see our lips don't match up with what we're saying. 365 times the Bible says, do not be afraid, every day of the year. Right? AI just has its creator's biases. Only 2,000 years later, through modern science, have we learned that the brain cannot have both emotions at the same time. Which emotions? Do not be afraid and only have gratitude. You cannot have both at the same time. That's such a good point. I never thought of that before. Okay, thank you, Boris. Thank you for pointing that out. And then when you guys see that, tell me immediately so that I can fix it. Yeah, that is very cool. We learn a lot on the Beach Report, not just from me, but from everybody who comes on here. I have some of the best followers in the world, and they are throughout the world. I love being international. I am an international type of girl. So, all right, you guys. Well, it's 5:20. I've been doing this show for more than 2 hours, and only 1 penny in rubies. Really? You guys know that I do the beach report purely by myself. I have no sponsors. Nobody pays me. And the only way that I do get paid is by donations from you or if you buy a book. So, I mean, I stand here for 2 hours and I don't even have anybody joining my members group these days. What's up with that? You know, $4.99, you would tip a waitress more than that, wouldn't you? Now, I don't like to ask for money, but I do have to say that I work really hard, and I hope that you guys want to see the beach report continue, and I know that you do because many of you are very good supporters. But girl could use a tip every now and then. Gretchen's a shark. Yes. Okay. That just made my day. I love you, Gretchen. Thank you so much. Thank you to those of you who do support the Beach Report. You should all thank everybody like Gretchen who show up every day with me and make sure that I can do this show every day. Well, Tristan, that doesn't seem very wise to work straight for 15 years for free. What were you doing? Oh, Jerry. Jerry knows how to make me sing. All right. On a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine rolling out as one long song. You can think about the woman or the girl you knew the night before. Don's got a point, raising a child. Well, your thoughts will soon be wandering, thank you, the way they always do, when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing much to prove. And you don't feel much like riding, you just wish the trip was through. Well, here I am on the road again, Gretchen, thank you. Here I am up on the stage, there I go, playing the star again, there I go, turn the page, yeah. Well, you walk into a restaurant, strung out from the road, you can feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking up the cold. You pretend, thank you, it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. Most times you can't hear them talk, other times you can. All the same old cliches. Is that a woman or a man? And you always seem outnumbered. You don't dare make a stand. Oh, here I am on the road again. Here I am up on the stage. There I go, playing a star again. There I go, turn the page. Oh, here I am on the road again. Yeah, here I am up on the stage. Here I go, playing the star again. Here I go, here I go. Do 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 do. How's that? I need some water. All right, I will sing for money. All right, you guys, more than 2 hours of this, and thank you so much for supporting the Beach Report. It means more than you know. I'll see you guys. Unless you have any more requests, thank you, Cabinet, and I'm gonna take off. All right, you guys. My favorite singer. Don't make me choose. I don't know. I love them all. I guess my favorite would be Karen Carpenter. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Ciao for now. Adieu. Bonjour. See you later.